everyone. My name is Ira Anis and I will be your facilitator for September 2023 attempt for Advanced Performance Management paper. This session is a short session to give you a brief introduction of what is the APM paper, right? So let's quickly start with that. There are three fundamental questions that comes to our mind whenever we start with APM paper. The first question is obviously what is the advanced performance management, right? What are the syllabus, what level of APM, at what level we are supposed to attempt APM. The second one is how it is different from the paper which we have previously attempted, F5 or PM. And the third one is how it is different from the other papers, right? So let me start with this one, how it is different from F5 or maybe PM paper. See, there are three levels in ACCA now. The first level is F2, the second level is F5, and the third level is APM. Not F5, now it's PM. So when you were in F5 or PM paper, the examiner was actually trying to deal with you like you are in the middle tier management. The examiner asked students to prepare some reports, to do for some decision making calculations and something related to the middle tier management. But in APM paper, you have to believe that someone has given you promotion and now you are not in the middle tier of the management level, but now you are at the strategic level. So when you are at a strategic level, you have to consider with lot of things, but at the same time you are not supposed to deal with the basic calculations, right? So in APM paper, in majority cases, in 90% cases, I think more than 90% cases, you will not find calculation, rather you will find mostly theoretical questions for justification, theoretical questions for analysis, evaluation, something like that. But in F5 paper, majority portion was actually based on calculation. I mean, there was a 50-50 chance that 50% will be is calculation and 50% is mostly theoretical. But in advanced performance management paper, 90 to 95% is theoretical. So mainly it's a theoretical paper, right? So that's the level of difference between F5 and P5 or APM and PM paper, right? Now, why this question is important? Because I have seen students who are scared of taking APM paper, because they think that since they are unable to recall what they have studied in F5, probably APM paper would be really difficult for them to pass. That makes sense also, but I just want to correct this to a certain extent. See, there are two things which you have to consider. The first thing is that since obviously I am teaching F5 also, so I will provide you basic lectures of performance management topics whenever there is necessary, whenever there is a need. Why I'm saying whenever there is a need? Because variances which we have studied in our performance management is not included in APM. So you don't have to worry about that, right? Activity based costing, which we have studied in performance management, is also included in APM paper, but with a different perspective. Now you have to deal with more theoretical part of activity based costing rather than number crunching part, right? So whenever there is a need, I will provide you with a basic lecture, so you don't have to worry about that. So how it is different in a nutshell, F5 is more is 50% computational, 50% theoretical, with a reasonable theoretical things. You don't have to bring something from your own mind to attempt the paper. But in APM, there are so many things which you have to think. We will discuss this while attempting the question. That, for example, if there is a target costing, is there is a transfer pricing question, examiner will give you a certain scenario to evaluate, and you have to think probably 50 to 60% or maybe 70% things from within the scenario which you can easily identify, but there will be 30 to 40% things which you have to understand, which you have to bring to the paper, and that will not be the part of the question. So that's basically the level of difference, right? And how it is different from other papers? See, other, what do I mean by other papers? Other papers actually means there are so many topics which are included in APM paper, which has also been part, which have also been part of previous some papers. Like for example, let me try to write it. Like for example, SWOT analysis, pest analysis, value chain analysis, value chain analysis, and there are so many other topics which are included in other papers, and they are also included in APM paper. But the problem is, when you are attempting an APM paper, the way of asking question is very different. So that means what? That means you have to write a different type of answer while attempting the APM rather than what you have written before. Let me give you an example. Let's take a very basic example of SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? This is something which we have already studied before. But if someone is asking you to prepare a report in which SWOT analysis is also used as a performance tool, maybe examiner will ask you to do the same thing with respect to the performance measurement part, or maybe examiner will ask you to develop some KPIs. So that's basically the difference, how it is different from the other papers. So don't get relaxed if you see SWOT analysis or pest analysis or BCG consultant growth metrics or stakeholder mapping type of questions in your APM paper. The topic is same, but the requirement is very different, and we will see this in our syllabus, that how students um, miss those easy marks. Miss easy marks in the sense that this is a very simple requirement, but since students attempt it in the way they have attempted in their previous paper, they tend to lose marks in this type of question. So we will discuss it in our analysis in our syllabus. And what is actually advanced performance management? Last, obviously, but not the least, advanced performance management is actually, as I said, that since you are at the strategic level of any organization, that means whatever you are discussing, whatever solution you are proposing, you have to keep everything in mind. For example, if you are saying that, look, in the current scenario, probably cost plus transfer pricing policy is more reasonable, right? This is your proposal. So you have to tell the examiner everything about it. Maybe there is a limitation of cost plus pricing policy, sorry, cost plus target pricing policy. What are the limitations? What are the advantages? Why this is suitable for the company? What will happen if company will continue with the current system? So you have to tell them a complete picture, including limitations, advantages, disadvantages, everything, right? This was not the extent of level of F5. F5 was quite basic level thing. So this is basically what the APM paper is. And to be very honest, it's more about the analysis, how efficiently you are analyzing the situation. So probably you will be able to propose a better solution. We will do a lot of practice questions of such things in our regular course, so that you can understand what do I actually mean by this term, the complete picture. Because students, for example, if examiner is asking you to advise regarding some scenarios, and you are just telling the benefits to the examiner and you are not telling the disadvantages, the con side, so probably examiner will not give you 100% marks. Probably examiner will give you less than 50% marks, because you are telling them the one side of the story and you are not telling them the other side of the picture, right? So this is basically the basic introduction of APM paper. Now, what is the syllabus of APM? The first thing is activity based management. As I said earlier, this is basically the advanced version of activity based costing. You can say this is activity based costing plus activity based budgeting, and if you combine both results, I mean the both information, you will come to do the activity based management things, how this information which you got from these two uh, concepts can help you to decide regarding something, right? So what I have seen in past, in recent papers, I mean 2015 onwards or maybe 2013 onwards, mostly questions are based on theoretical part. There has not been a single question which asks students to calculate the cost per unit under activity based costing, because that has been examined in F5. So examiner knew that you guys know this thing, you guys know how to compute cost per unit calculation. Obviously examiner is not going to repeat that. So this is basically a higher version of activity based costing. Don't assume that this is same as you guys did in F5, right? The second one is target costing. I must say this is around 60% similar thing, but again, that 40% new is mainly related to the other areas. For example, examiner may ask you to deal with some external matters type of thing. For example, what is going on the economy, you have to consider that part also while calculating the targeted profit situation. So again, target costing is same. Obviously target costing concept is same, but the way of asking question is different. Target costing has not been examined frequently, but you can say, yeah, it can be of, if it comes to the paper, in the paper, APM paper, probably the chances are that it will be equals to 10 to 15 marks part in APM paper, if it's embedded in other questions, for example 50 marks question. Otherwise it can be of 20 marks, 25 marks complete question, right? Risk and uncertainty is really very important, because examiner is actually keen in identifying the risk and uncertainty part. The calculation is same, minimax, maximax, what you guys have studied in F5, minimax, maximax, minimax, regret, and expected values, probability. There's just one extension, combined probability. This has been examined, I think, twice, not recently, not as recently. So I don't think that there are high chances for this topic to come again, but obviously you have to prepare for it. So risk and uncertainty and combined probability, both you can cover in a same chapter. So this is a, you can say 30% new area compared to F5, but 70% similar area. It's more theoretical now. Performance measurement, the most important part, and I believe that this is something which without which you cannot pass your APM paper. And mostly this is in first, this comes in section A, which is of 50 marks, right? So, and obviously it's combined with other topics: performance management, performance measurement with benchmarking, performance measurement with BPR, performance measurement with quality, performance measurement with other topics. So usually it comes with in combination, in along with some other topics, right? So this is again important, and whatever you have studied in F5, it was just 10 to 15% of what you are going to study in APM, because now it's of 50 marks question. So you can imagine how much how I mean the basic concept is same, but the way of attempting the question is way different as compared with what you have studied in F5. Performance measurement, sorry, it's repeating, it just got repeated. Quality, quality is another topic which is important in F5. This topic has not been examined in F5, this, so obviously this is a new topic. Responsibility centers is something which you have already studied before, but there are two things which you not two, there's just one thing which is new in here in F5 in APM paper, which is economic value added. Apart from that, residual income, return on capital employed, both are something which you guys have already studied in past, so you don't have to worry about it. EVA is definitely a new topic, and EVA will be combined with obviously value based management. We will discuss it later. Transfer pricing is quite similar to transfer pricing. I will say it's around 50% same of what you have already studied, but the remaining 50%, I would say it's more theoretical part. theoretical or may or probably sorry theoretical, or probably you can say that that is more of analysis related part, that what type of transfer pricing is relevant in certain situation, or what if we go for, what will happen if we go for market based transfer pricing policy in certain scenarios. So you have to analyze the situation and tell the examiner what can be the limitations, pros and cons for this situation. So it's more of analysis, but there's just one more thing. Taxation has tax part along with traditional transfer pricing is new. Taxation has not been included in F5, so this is a new part. Performance measurement in not-for-profit making organization. This is something which I believe has not been examined in F5 to that extent where it should have been examined. So now you will find complete 50 marks question maybe, or complete 25 marks question on performance measurement in not for profit making organizations. So I think it's very important in APM paper, and this has been very frequently asked in recent APM papers. So obviously it's important. The intensity of this topic is quite high compared with F5. And F5 we do it in a very lower extent. I mean, students know what is performance measurement in not-for-profit making organization, but how it can be applied, what are the problems, what are the other areas to consider, that is not in F5. Then Toyota production system, lean system, and Six Sigma type of topics which has not been included, which were not the part of F5 syllabus, is included in APM. IT related issues are important, and obviously these days IT is the new is new boom. So IT related questions are, you can expect IT related questions to come. ERP systems, how to integrate the benefits of integration. These type of topics are usually examined in APM paper. BPR is here. Price BPR, not the way you have tackled previously, but with a different style. For example, examiner will give you a scenario and it will ask you to evaluate the BPR strategy, and maybe to propose some KPIs to evaluate whether the BPR was successful or not. So this is a new kind of things for the students. Pricing is quite similar to F5. I must say it's almost 70% same to what you guys have already studied in F5. 30% is theoretical part. Maybe it will come with a scenario and examiner will ask you to analyze something related to the pricing strategy. So it's not a big deal. Budgeting, zero-based budgeting has not been included in F5. Beyond budgeting was not the part of F5. So these two are new topics. Rolling budget, I will not say rolling budgets is new, but you can expect more from with respect to rolling budgets in APM as compared with your F5 syllabus, right? And then environmental management accounting, this is important. This is similar to F5, but the way of asking question is obviously advanced. Human resource management, value-based management, performance prism, and integrated reporting. So these are few other topics, and there are few other more topics which I have not included, some small topics, so we will discuss it during our APM paper, right? Examination format is very simple. You have to attempt 50 marks. First question is of 50 marks, where 40 marks are technical marks and 10 marks are professional marks. Section B is of 20 technical marks and 25 marks question, 20 technical marks and 5 professional marks. I will try to discuss as much as possible how to deal with this professional marks in our syllabus, in regular syllabus and in exam practice question syllabus too, in both sessions, right? I will not discuss a lot with respect to professional marks because this is just an introduction paper and you guys have already idea of what is these professional marks. So those four professional abilities, professional professional marks are based on four different key areas: communication, analysis and evaluation, skepticism, and professional acumen. I personally believe that if you read the requirement carefully and if you answer each and every part of the question, whatever examiner has requested you to do so, you will probably end up by dealing with all these four professional marks. For example, examiner will give you certain points in the question which you can use in your answers. So obviously that will cover professional acumen, that will cover skepticism. So I believe there are 60 to 70% chances that you 50 to 60% chances that a good student will be able to pick these points, because communication was is something which was already in the previous APM paper, and this is something which we all focuses on. So communication is easier to deal with. Analysis and evaluation is something which we emphasize before the introduction of these 20 marks professional marks. So this is not a new thing. The new thing is actually the last two areas, skepticism and professional acumen, and this is something which can be a little bit technical for students to deal with. So we'll try our level best to deal with these two, how to deal with these two professional areas in our syllabus. So this is something which we will do. And then moving towards the other areas, because I'm just skipping with these professional marking schemes, because this is something which we will discuss in our syllabus. Common issues which I've seen students who are struggling in APM paper, there are a few common issues which I have compiled related to student. The first and the most important thing which everyone says is that students are unable to understand the question requirement. I sometimes I wonder why this is happening, because from if you go through the examiner report, I think from 2010 onwards, examiner is continuously saying that please try to read all those requirements and try to fulfill the requirements. But every time examiner, every time examiner is getting the same type of response from students, and probably that's the reason why examiner has included ACCA has included these 20 professional marks in the examination, because they think that this is important for a student, because maybe students will try to understand these issues and incorporate them in the paper just to get the marks, right? So you have to read the whole requirement which is embedded in the question very carefully and try to complete your answer in as much in all best possible manners, right? They miss really easy marks available in the question. What do you mean by easy marks? See, easy marks means there are situations when examiner says that company wants to introduce benchmarking technique in their performance measurement system. So whenever company wants to introduce something, you have to start your answer with the basic introduction of what is the benchmarking concept is. Or for example, if the company wants to adopt economic value added, then you have to tell the examiner, the company, the management that what is the economic value added. So usually 1 to 2 marks are for the general description of the new concept which the company is implementing, and students don't write the introduction of the topic, right? This, I'm not asking students to write half page related to the new topic, but they should tell the examiner the basic definition, the basic idea of what is the benchmarking, what is BPR, what is transfer pricing, or what is economic value added. Just 2 to 3 lines, not more than that. So it will earn some few marks, maybe 2 marks, maybe 1 mark. So obviously there are for example, there are 3 new concepts which company wants to introduce in the whole APM paper. You will get 6 or 7 marks easily. You can get 6 to 7 marks easily. Don't know how to get professional marks. This is something which we will deal in our regular syllabus, right? Don't consider marking schemes so that they don't have any idea how many points to write. Now this is again another thing which I have witnessed, that students actually don't have idea. So whenever we start writing the answer, I always ask the students to prepare a rough marking scheme, that how many marks are allocated to the advantages part, the disadvantages part, the calculation part, so they can understand how much they need to write, because excessive writing will just waste their time. In case of unsuccessful attempt, they don't know where they went wrong in the paper, because students comes to me and they said, ma'am, I did everything right, I don't know why I failed. So this is a scary response, because if you don't know where is the weakness, how you will try to improve it. So in this case, I will suggest a student the something which is in the next slide. uh, just try to make sure that address all the issues, and justify your requirements, your recommendation as much as possible, and to practice as much as possible. I think that is in the next part. Yeah, this much. Practice as many questions as you can, and when I'm saying practice as many questions as you can, I mean write the paper, write the answer. Because if you write, for example, if you write two solutions of business process reengineering, let's suppose, then definitely while writing the third time, while for example you get another question in your examination which is based on BPR concept, then chances are quite high that you will be able to recall those things which you have already written easily, right? So I believe that this is something which a student tends to ignore. They don't write the answer. See how I compare it. If someone teaches you variances, right, what you will do, you will start practicing the questions, 4 questions, 5 questions, 6 questions of variances, and then you will say, okay, fine, now I am sure that I know what the variances are. This is the same thing with APM paper. You have to write the answer, you have to practice the answer, because the more you write the answer, it will be easier for you to reproduce a similar type of thing in your paper. So this is the key to pass the examination paper. Try to write the answer within examiner within exam conditions. Like for example, 50 marks. For example, there's a 50-mark question which you are targeting to attempt in 1.5 hours, let's suppose. Then try to practice the question, try to practice writing the question within 1.5 hours, or maybe you can target it to write the answer within 1 hour, within an hour, because in examination condition it will be difficult for you to reproduce the answer. So you have to keep some time for for some different shock kind of thing, right? So practice as many questions as you can, focus on 20 professional marks, read the examiner comment, consider marks while planning the answer, justify your answer as much as you can. Don't write anything which you cannot justify. For example, company should use target costing. Why company should use target costing? Company should use market share to analyze its sales performance. Why you believe that market share is important? So just writing the answer is not the solution. You have to tell the examiner why you are writing the answer. And trust me, if you are not telling the examiner why you think that this solution is a better solution, examiner will not give you marks. For example, you just have written that, okay, fine, return on capital employed is not a good indicator and company should use economic value added, and that's it. No justification, nothing. You will not get marks for this, because examiner will you are giving an idea to the examiner that you just guessed the answer, you don't know the logic why this is so, right? So these are few things which are very important for APM paper. If you fail to do these things, probably you will get another attempt to practice more. So I believe, try to attempt the questions as much as you can. If you are doing anything wrong, try to not repeat it. So these are few general things, right? What is the way forward for our regular students? We will have I will provide you recorded lectures to all the students who register themselves under the regular as a regular student, and then I will conduct some weekly sessions. I will In the next slide I will provide you with its detail, and there will be mock papers and debriefing session at the end of probably August, right? So for September, a first live session will be on 2nd of July from 7:30 to 9:30 Pakistani Standard Time. Then this is then the, we will I will conduct the second live session on 17 July, for 24 July, 31st July, 14 July, and 21st July. So there will be 6 live sessions for regular students, and we will discuss how to attempt the paper, how to write the answer, how to deal with the issues, how to deal with the professional marks in these regular sessions, right? Along with any difficulty which the students are facing. For those students who are there who wants to attempt exam practice sessions, there will be 4 live sessions. First live session will be on 18th of July, then 25th July, 31st July, and 15th of July. And obviously I will provide you pre-recorded lectures, and along with that we will have some live sessions, hopefully, inshallah, right? So this is basically how I'm going to conduct this APM paper. Thank you for watching this video. I hope we will meet soon, and we will have our first session on 7:30. Sorry, on 18th of July if you are from exam practice session students, and on 2nd of July if you register yourself as a regular student, right? Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.